Well, we are in this period of consolidation at the moment in the markets, and we're about halfway through the trading year, granted end of financial year, but we're really trying to look forward and see where is best to start putting our investable ideas. Joining us live in the studio to discuss just this is Michael Frazis from Frazis Capital Partners.
Hi guys.
Hi, thanks for coming on to the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again.
So when we're looking forward from here, we're talking about this consolidation asset. Some have had a really great quarter, some have been a bit choppy, cyclicals, value. Do you see these continued thematics playing out? Are we going to see the growth stocks continue to grow? Are they going to have a reversion? How do you see the rest of the year playing out?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. I think this is a time for the winners. I think you stick with the winners. Yeah. Stick with the companies that are growing and doing better and better in this environment. If you look at the performance of the top growth stocks that have accelerated in this environment, more customers, more revenue, they've vastly outperformed, the bounces off the lows from kind of the deep value stocks, companies under pressure. So I definitely recommend staying with the winners. The other thing that's important to remember is there's very likely to be a vaccine in, August, September, October. The best companies in the world are all working on independent vaccine trials in the pharmaceutical space. So any one of those succeeding will probably lead to a complete game changer, and we'll get a regime shift. So on the one hand, stick with the winners. On the other, you have to be ready for this moment that will likely come, where the game changes again entirely for all of us.
Yeah, and what does that do to markets, do you think? Because when a vaccine is announced or officially, sort of announced by the market, do people start sort of pricing in perhaps a recovery and then the Fed pulling back money and then perhaps markets...
I've got a kind of theory that if a vaccine comes and markets rip, that will be a short-term top. Yeah. You can just imagine that sucks the last few people in. Yeah. It's hard to tell. I imagine there'll be a lot going on under the surface.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of companies do a lot worse after that, and then a lot of the companies that are most under pressure will rally very hard. It's going to be a hard one to play.
Yeah, that does seem to be a shorter duration to what other, countries, companies have said around the world in terms of when they expect these vaccines to at least potentially be available. We've seen a lot of symptomatic treatments of COVID, but very few companies say we are right at the brink right now of having this vaccine. Is there something you potentially know in your investments that you can share?
There's a couple. I guess Moderna's going to start phase 3, in July. They're already starting manufacturing. AstraZeneca's started manufacturing a vaccine. They're not even going to wait until they find out if these things work. They're really compressing the timeline right down. And with coronavirus, there are coronavirus vaccines for animals, just none for people.
Have they done this fast before? Is this a first for a lot of those pharma companies?
There's actually pretty good precedent for this. Yeah. If you think about how fast, I think it took like 10 months in swine flu from the first case to the first manufactured doses. Ebola was another example where they compressed the time frame dramatically, and as part of their phase 2, phase 3 trials, they basically vaccinated all the frontline workers in Africa, like thousands of them at once. So there's very much precedent for really compressing these timelines in. Typically, vaccines will take 1, 2, 3 years if they come at all, but they're very difficult products. They're not very commercial. There's very little investment that goes in them. The safety thing is so hard. The safety bar is so high because you're vaccinating healthy people.
Well, this is the thing as well with these pharma companies, right? Because or biotech companies or whoever's making the vaccines, you can't imagine it's going to be easy to monetize because you can't go out and charge a mint for these vaccines, just morally, right?
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and I think there's a good chance that a number of them come out with vaccines at the same time.
Yeah.
But again, some of these companies getting a lot of funding, a lot of support, so that should set them up for the next few years.
But then we see Gilead coming out estimating that the cost of their 5-day treatment is going to be in the realms of $2,500 US. At least that's what they're recommending they would like to spend, and that's not even a vaccine. That's just a treatment.
It's hard to tell in the US if that's high or low. You're seeing the bills that people get from hospitals.
That is very true.
Can we deep dive into an investable idea you've got? Totally different from vaccines. So we'll move on from that for the time being. This is Carvana. Now, we have a little picture to bring up on screen, actually, of Carvana, just to give... Sometimes a picture speaks 1,000 words, and that is Carvana. Just talk us through what this business does, why you like it. Give us a bit of a view on it.
Right. So what you're seeing is a vending machine. So Carvana's disrupting the dealership market. And what you can do is you can basically order a car online in your smartphone, all finance approved, everything insurance, everything associated with that, and then go to these locations and pick up your car without actually speaking to somebody. So it's a fully online model.
Literally online. You don't even need a middleman. You just go on.
You don't need a middleman, yeah. And you can also, this is very good marketing for them. They set these up on highways where everybody sees them.
Yeah.
But you can also get them delivered straight to your door. So if you think about what they're trying to do, think about the dealership experience. It's quite difficult and most people don't like it.
Yeah.
You're haggling, there might only be 100, 200 cars. You're going to be worse off. These people give you a fixed price, typically $1,000 to $2,000 below the market. You've got access to the entire range of cars in the United States.
But you can't test drive or try it out, right? I mean, in terms of...
Yes, you can, because they give you 7 days to drive it.
Oh, Okay.
So 7 days to drive it around and hand it back for no cost, and a 100-day warranty, all on a fixed no haggle price. So it's really an interesting business. We bought about, when it was a markup of $5 billion, now it's in the $15 to $20 billion range. But it's been a wild journey for that company.
Yeah, looking at the price action here, it started about $10 in 2017, got up as high as almost $120 now. So really just a huge increase. I guess that speaks volumes to the change in consumer behavior and the change in way products are constructed and delivered.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we bought about in the mid-30s.
Right, okay. This is Cam, I'm going to stop you there. You bought at mid-30s. Would you buy it at these levels?
Absolutely. So I think people don't get about cars is actually the biggest part of retail. Bigger than fashion, bigger than electronics, cars are number one. Of that segment, most of it's actually second-hand cars. And so this market is absolutely enormous. And Carvana has about 0.4% of that market, based on their end-of-year results. And so given what we know about it, it's better, it's cheaper, it's more convenient, it's fully online. There's a good chance to go from 0.4 to 4%. Obviously, after some time, that's 10x from here.
Huge.
So there's an extraordinary opportunity there for them to really capture the market. If they do well, there's no reason for them to stop at 4%.
Usually I go to a vending machine, buy a drink if I'm feeling thirsty. I generally don't think about walking down the highway or being in an Uber, and I'll just get off here, driver, and I'll pick up that car.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been a wild ride for the stock.
Yeah.
So in March, basically everybody stopped spending. Do you remember those 2 weeks where it was really frightening and nobody spent anything on anything unless they really had to?
Except pasta and toilet paper.
Exactly.
You might have been the prime offender.
I think I was. Hey, but listen, so going forward, I guess, which regions is Carvana in? Because it's not in Australia, is it?
It's not Australia. Carvana's in the United States.
Mass sort of populations?
Yeah, it's tough. And they've had to build an entire network of delivery cars. They've got trucks that will go around and deliver cars. They really had to create a liquid auto market, so you can actually buy cars from various places. Yeah. Obviously, price it maybe slightly differently depending on where you are. That's very different to other businesses, other online auto businesses like classifieds. Okay. That model certainly does work in Australia, as you've seen with the success of carsales.com. But it's a United States business, and I'm not sure if anybody's trying to do that here yet.
No. Oh, we'll watch closer. As always, you've presented a fascinating investable idea. We always appreciate your time on the program. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.